to some credit reallocation strategies. The reason why I want to dive into this first is because I want you to already start thinking about how you can reposition yourself in some of the credit that you're going to be getting in favor of your business. So I'm going to be showing you guys some tactics that you guys can take advantage of. Now, if you have no idea what reallocation is, essentially what it is, it's, let's say that you have a card, or let's say a credit line with a bank. So bank one gives you a credit line. We'll use Chase, right? They have Chase Inc. 1. We have Chase Inc. 2 as an example. And that'll be the example that I use today because it's one of the slides. Let's say that you have $25,000 on one card, $30,000 on the other card. You're able to essentially rip the amount that you have off of one card, so let's say 20K, and transfer it over to the other side. The reason why I don't want you to confuse this with bank transfers or essentially credit limit transfers, or not credit limit transfers, I'm sorry, balance transfers is the word that I'm looking for, is because you're not transferring necessarily the balance. Remember, the balance is what you've already paid. The credit limit transfer is what's available on the card. It's a clear distinction right there, but there is a time and a place for each of them. Now, something else that I want you guys to know is the bottom pieces. A credit line transfer is moving around credit that is available to you that you have not spent, versus a balance transfer. Balance transfer is, again, you're moving that money around. A balance transfer is moving the existing credit card debt to a new card, right? And so essentially, why would you want this? Like, why would you even do this? Irv, why are you bringing it up? Why is this important to me? Why is this important to my business? You may want to spend more on a specific card. Like, that's maybe the first point that I'm gonna kind of argue and bring up to you. You're maybe gonna want to spend more on one card than you would on another. You plan on closing out one of the cards, and you don't want to miss out on the available credit. That's huge, because if you have $25,000 on one card, and let's say the 12 months are up, it was at a 0% intro period, and you were thinking to yourself, man, that was a fun ride, but it's over. I don't want to keep riding this because it's gonna, let's say, climb to 24.9, like a 24%. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So, but I do have another card that I have, again, that maybe it's at 0% and it's maybe month one on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this account out right here that the intro period is over, and I'm going to transfer that entire limit over to my new card. So that way, instead of that card, let's say if the new card was 5K and you transfer 20K, it's now 25K. So now you've essentially blown up the credit limit on that one card. And again, this is not a balance transfer, and this is not a credit limit increase. I want to make that distinction clear because we're going to be covering that. But I want to make the distinction clear because that's a completely different strategy that you want to dive into. You're planning on earning more rewards and bonus offers, especially for a lot of us travel junkies. I'm not the biggest travel junkie, but the reason why I bring that up is because I do know that some of us in this community are. And I do know that some of us can do more if we had a $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 limit on a card than if we were just capped out at 5. This would be a good approach, especially if you're really trying to take that to the next level and you're really trying to maximize some of the MRs. Building up the threshold, I know it says 4 but it should say for organic spending and strengthening the relationship for future funding rounds. That's why I'm giving you this first before I even give you anything on funding, because if you can figure this out right here, and if you piece this together, it's like you're going to understand, now that I have the funding, I know exactly what to do with it. Now, here's a real world example that I want you guys to take a look at. On the left, you have Business Unlimited. On the right, you have Business Cash. Both are with Chase. On the left, the Business Unlimited, and again, these are both 0% cards, right? So on the left, you have a $30,000 limit. On the right, you have a $20,000 limit. So let's say that I hit up Chase and I wanted to do that credit limit transfer, right? Or the reallocation. We want to get technical with it. If you wanted to do that reallocation, now that we've transferred 10K over, remember the card on the left was 30, it's now 20. But now over there on the right, which is my Business Cash, it's now 30. Like, you guys caught that, right? Like, we're keeping it super simple right here because we're going to start kind of like turning it up. Does that make sense so far, Rad?
Perfect sense.
Perfect. Okay, good. So we'll keep it moving because this is where things start to get a little bit juicier. So a quick pro tip for you guys is that with Chase, you're able to transfer an entire limit, get the card closed, and then you're able to reapply for the same card under the same business.
That's a game changer, guys. Say that one more time, bro.
Say that again.
Let that land with these people, because that was amazing.
I'm gonna take my time on this one right here because it's important. I really want to drive this point home. With Chase, you're able to transfer the entire limit over into another card, right? And then you're able to close out the original card that you had. So now it's at a 0 limit. You close that out. Now all the limit is sitting on this card on the right. So let's say the business cash, and then you're able to go back in and apply for, let's say, the business unlimited again under the same business. Every bank is different, but I'm giving you based off of Chase's rules. Remember, we're going to talk about some of the rules that these banks have. Based off of Chase's rules, you're able to run that. So again, you want to double check with the banks, because some of them are going to give you what they call a threshold inquiry, which means once that card totals over $35,000, it might result in what they call an existing creditor soft pull sometimes, or they may just flat out give you a complete hard pull. And so it's always good to just double check with them, right? Again, everything that I'm giving you right now in this call is based off of real time where we're at right now. But you guys know with banks, they're always changing the rules. If this would have been same time last year, I would have told you that for a credit limit increase with Chase, it was going to cost you a hard inquiry. Now in 2023, of April of 2023, it does not cost you a hard inquiry to get a credit limit increase with Chase. They've actually taken that rule off, and it's a soft pull. So they're playing more of the Amex game. Something to pay attention to. Now, again, you can use this method if you guys want to maximize the member rewards and the bonuses that are being offered. So again, if you only had maybe 10, 15K to play with on one card, you went ahead and dumped a complete reallocation on it. Now you're at 30, 35. Now you have way more to play around with. Now, when it comes to credit reallocation, these are the rules for each bank. First on the list, we got Chase. Chase allows you to move limits between personal credit cards and between business credit cards. So clear distinction here is from personal to personal. So if you have a Freedom Sapphire and a Chase Sapphire Reserve and a Chase Freedom, you can go ahead and move those between each other. And then if you have two business inks, you can move those between each other. It takes about 24 hours for this transfer to happen. You're able to reallocate the limits and then close, like I mentioned earlier, that account and then reapply for that same card. Now, if you say, well, Irv, what if I close that card out and I have a second LLC with Chase that I want to open? Good. You can go back in and apply for a new, let's say, Business Inc. under that new LLC, even though you can carry more than one Chase for each type of business, right? But if you wanted to say, hey, I got one with LLC 1, I also want to get one with LLC 2, can you do that? The answer to that is going to be yes. That's also something really important that I want you guys to pay attention to. So credit allocations can only be done, again, between the same business. So the other question or concern that people usually have is, hey, if I have a Business Inc. with LLC 1 and I have a Business Inc. with LLC 2, can I make the transfer between both of those? That's going to be a no, right? The credit limit transfers, again, not balance transfers, the credit limit transfers. And you also can't do transfers or reallocations between banks. It has to be in the same bank and it has to be between the same business. And so with Chase, it's super easy. You can either A, do it through your RM, your relationship manager, or B, you can just do it by calling the number on the back of the card, or C, you can just go ahead and do it through the online account.